Okay, continue. For the last video, we talked about the roles of hormone in the menstrual cycle. Okay, and still remember any example of hormone? Follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. Okay, 卵泡的刺激荷尔蒙 estrogens. Okay, LH, luteinizing hormone, 黄体素 or progesterones or 1, 2, 3, 4. They play the main role in the menstrual cycle. 这四种荷尔蒙控制着月经的。Okay, and they are very important in the menstrual cycle. So we continue for the same title, but in another method. 用另外一种方法。Okay, in diagram 呢，用图片来看。Okay, one by one. The changes of the hormone in the menstrual cycle. 整个 menstrual cycle 月经的循环。How are the changes of the hormone? 荷尔蒙的变化是什么呢 ？Okay, so from the beginning of the first day of the menstrual cycle, 月经开始的第一天。Okay, until the day number 7, what's going to happen? 什么事情发生呢 ？Pituitary glands going to release a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone. 脑下腺放出一种荷尔蒙叫 follicle stimulating hormone. Okay. So anterior pituitary glands release a hormone, and the hormone is called follicle stimulating hormones. So from the day 1 until day number 7, 从第一天到第7天 the level of the hormone become more and more. 它的荷尔蒙的水平越来越多。What's the function of these follicle stimulating hormones? Okay, it's going to help in the development of the follicle. Help in the development of the primary follicle become secondary follicle, become the Graafian follicles. So follicle stimulating hormones help in the development or stimulate the development of follicle. But during the development of follicles, the follicle cells actually produce another hormone. 它们自己也产生另外一种荷尔蒙 and the hormone is called estrogen. 这种荷尔蒙呢就叫 estrogen. Okay, so follicle stimulating hormone stimulate the formation of the follicle, but the follicle cell itself 它自己呢 produce another hormone called estrogen. But what is the function of this estrogen? 这个 estrogen 呢 follicle 做出来的 estrogen 拿来做什么呢 So now we go to the diagram number 2 啦，第二个图片。Okay. The main function of the estrogen actually is to make the endometrium become thickens. 给子宫内膜呢变成比较厚。Okay, so the first function of the estrogen actually is to making the endometrium become thicker. And estrogen also control the secondary sexual characteristic of the female. 它也控制这个女生身体的特征。Okay, at the same time, what's going to happen? When the estrogen become more and more, when the estrogen release and the level become higher and higher, okay, 越来越多, what's going to happen? Okay, so estrogen will be released from the follicle. When the estrogen become more and more, 它越来越多的时候 it's going to inhibit the formation, it's going to inhibit the production of the follicle stimulating hormone. 它就会防止，它就会预防 okay, pituitary gland to release the follicle stimulating hormone. So estrogen 越来越多 or another meaning 就是说我的卵泡做好了 Okay, so you're going to inhibit the release of the follicle stimulating hormone. 它就会防止人家放出 follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so follicle secrete the estrogen. 它放出 estrogen, inhibits the follicle stimulating hormone. 它防止别人放出 follicle stimulating hormone. And at the same time, endometrium become thicken. 子宫内膜变厚。Okay, so endometrium, estrogen thickens the endometrium and inhibits the follicle stimulating hormone from pituitary glands. Okay. Now, no more follicle stimulating hormone, and the follicle growing. Okay, and when the follicle is growing, besides produce estrogens, what happens when the estrogen become more and more? 当 estrogen 越来越多的时候 what going to happen? Okay, it inhibits the formation of follicle stimulating hormone, but it will trigger. 不过 it will cause the anterior pituitary gland to release another hormone. 当这个 estrogen 越来越多 FSH 呢就会越来越少然后停止 But at the same time, when the estrogen become more, it will trigger, 它会刺激到，它会造成 okay, 它会引起 anterior pituitary gland to produce another hormone, and the hormone will be called LH, luteinizing hormone, 黄体素. What's the function of these luteinizing hormones? It's going to help in the process called ovulation， 它会帮助排卵。Okay, so estrogen 越来越多，就是卵泡越来越大，越来越成熟了。And at the same time, they're going to release the luteinizing hormones, and this luteinizing hormone we're going to cause a process called ovulation， 它会造成排卵。So on the day number 14， 到第14天的时候 ，LH cause ovulation。LH 造成的排卵 ，so the secretion of estrogen stop， 那时候 estrogen 就没有了。Okay, stop. And the Galfan follicle develop into corpus nutrients. Galfan follicle 那个大大的卵泡 develop into corpus nutrients 变成了黄体。Okay, so 第14天的时候 ovum release into the fallopian tube, and now no more estrogen. Estrogen 就不再放出来了。Okay, and LH finally become higher. LH cause ovulation 就是它造成排卵的。Okay, and what happened to this Galfan follicle? Galfan follicle going to develop, become the corpus nutrients 就变成了黄体素。Okay, or another meaning, the function it will be no more follicle. Follicle 已经不见了。It will be a new structure called corpus nutrients. 新的结构叫 corpus nutrients. And what's the function of this corpus nutrient? 它的功能是什么呢 ？Okay, 帮忙怀孕了的。So the corpus nutrients circuit a large amount of progesterones.Okay, or what's the function of this progesterone? To making the wall of the endometrium become thicker and thicker. 给这边子宫内膜变成更厚更厚。But only a small amount of estrogen. 不过放出一点点的 estrogens. Okay, but the main will be progesterone. 它最重要的这个东西就是 progesterone. Waiting for pregnancy. 它准备怀孕了。So the wall of the endometrium become thicker and thicker. 变成越来越厚了。Okay, so corpus nutrients 它要帮忙人家怀孕 so it's going to release a hormone called progesterones. Okay, 不过有放出一点点的 estrogen 呢。Okay, and next what happened 什么事情呢？来 so if the girl actually is pregnant 如果她 pregnant the progesterone will be continue to be released 一直放出来 but if no pregnancy corpus nutrient going to degenerate 如果 ovum 没有被 fertilize the corpus nutrient going to degenerate 它就会解散掉 and the progesterone going to become less 就变成没有了。Okay, so if ovum is not fertilized 如果没有被受精 corpus nutrient degenerate那个黄体解散 and the level of progesterone and estrogen drop. Okay, when these two hormones suddenly drop, what happened? The endometrium cannot support anymore. So the endometrium going to shake and menstruation occur. 它就会掉下来，然后月经又来了。Okay, 就是没有怀孕，就不再放出任何的荷尔蒙 ，progesterone, estrogen 全部没有了，然后那个 corpus nutrient 也自己解散。Okay, and the menstruation start 啦，开始了。And during the menstruation, another hormone come again, follicle stimulating hormone 再一次的被放出来。Okay, so no more progesterones if the ovum is not fertilized, no more estrogen 这边是第20多天了啦。Okay, and no more LH, LH 也不需要了。So this is what happens. Understand? Okay. Okay, look at another graph. 看另外一个。Okay, so look at the graph and now try to guess what is the name of the hormones. 然后试试看，猜看它的荷尔蒙叫什么名字呢 ？So the level in the bloods of pituitary hormones. Okay, pituitary hormone 就是 pituitary gland 放出来的荷尔蒙。We having two answers only， 只有两个答案 ：follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone。这两个答案罢了，对不对 ？Okay, you see.So from the first day of the menstrual cycle, the level of this hormone is quite high. 这个荷尔蒙呢，它的水平很高。But after it is getting less and less. So can you guess? 你能猜一下吗？它到底是谁 ？Follicle stimulating hormone， 对不对 ？Start from the day number 1 until day number 7, and after day number 7, you're getting less， 就越来越少了。So follicle stimulating hormone. Okay.So when the follicle stimulating hormone become less, it means estrogen become more. 那时候是 estrogen 越来越多。When the estrogen become more and more, it's going to trigger the pituitary gland to release another hormone. 它就会刺激到 pituitary gland 放出另外一种荷尔蒙，就叫 LH. So LH will become before the day number 14 排卵之前的 LH. Okay, so during the day number 11, 12, 13, the LH going to having the highest level and cause ovulation, 然后就造成排卵了。But after this, follicle stimulating hormone LH they will become no function, so the level going to become less， 它的水平就会降到最低until the next menstrual cycle 啦，直到下一回合的 menstrual cycle。Okay, next 再猜名字。The level in the blood of the ovarian hormones, ovary 的 hormone，ovarian hormone 就是卵巢放出来的荷尔蒙 ，OK？ So ovary they release what hormone？ 卵巢放什么荷尔蒙出来呢 ？OK？ And the hormone become more and more， 它的荷尔蒙越来越多 ，OK？ So at the beginning is less and finally become more and more. Start from the day number 7 maybe 它越来越多了。Oh, this is a hormone called estrogen， 对不对？After the follicle stimulating hormone, estrogen will be start to produced by the follicle. Okay, when the estrogen reach the peak level, 当 estrogen 来到最高的时候 ，LH 也跑出来了。But when LH cause the ovulation, estrogen going to stop 就少去了。So this is what we call estrogen. 这一条就叫 estrogen. And after the ovulations, girlfriend follicle going to become a new structure called Corpus nutrients, and the corpus nutrients going to release another hormone called progesterone, and the progesterone going to increase higher and higher. In case of pregnancy, 如果真的有怀孕 it's going to become more and more, so help in the pregnancy 啦，增加子宫内膜的厚度给你怀孕。Okay, and so this must be another hormone called progesterone. 这个荷尔蒙叫 progesterone. Okay, settle， 搞定。Okay, so this is everything about hormones. Bye bye. Next video. Bye bye.